Okay, so here's our problem. You see this plastic valve. Eventually, what happens is the gasket pops out and water spews everywhere. And see, I've already replaced this one. So I'm going to go ahead and replace this plastic one while I got everything cleaned out. Before I get started, I'm not a plumber. I'm just a mom that needs to wash clothes, so I need to get my water shut back on. So you proceed at your own risk, but here's how I do it. Okay, so here's what all you're going to need. First, you're going to need either a 1/2 inch or a 3/4 valve. It depends on what you have already. I have 1/2 inch lines, so I'm going to need a new brass valve. And when I cut this one out, it's going to shorten this pipe. So I'm going to need one little piece of extra pipe to make it all fit. Red is for hot, blue is for cold, or white. So they'll show you at the hardware store. You can buy this in like 5-foot lengths, or I don't know what else. All right, you're going to need some couplings to install the extra piece of pipe. You're going to need at least 2 for each end. You're going to need some crimp rings to attach all these things. All right. Now, as far as your tools, this is the cutter that I'm going to use. This is what we're going to use to cut this off. And this huge thing is the crimper. That's what tightens up those crimps. Okay. First, turn your water off at the supply. If you don't know where that is, that's one thing you need to find. Then open your faucets and drain out all that extra water. Otherwise, when you cut this, it's going to make a huge mess instead of just a little mess. Okay, draining is complete. Now, I'm going to take my cutter and I'm going to cut this as close to the crimp as I can. And see, we still had some water in there. That's why I put the towel down. And then we're going to cut this part off. Okay, that's removed. Okay, so now you're going to put a crimp ring on here first. Okay, and then you'll stick that end in there. Now we're going to tighten that using our crimper. And the reason it's got 2 holes, one is for 1/2 inch and this one is for 3/4, but I have 1/2 inch. So you're just going to put that right around there. And then we're going to give it a good squeeze. Now you have to squeeze it until these 2 things go together. So what I have to do is wedge it against the wall and push. Just like that. You have to wedge it until these 2 triangle points meet, okay? Now that's crimped. Okay, so you can see the gap here. That's why I'm going to have to splice a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and cut about 1.5 inches of the blue pipe. I've got my coupler inserted here. I'm going to crimp this, and then I'll put this on here and crimp another one, and then I'll stick that end up into here and crimp that as well. So now we're almost done. We're just going to put a crimp ring on the white. And then we got to bend it out a little bit to get it in there. All right, fits perfect. All we got to do is crimp this and we'll be done. Now let's turn the water on and see what we have. And she's holding good, so that's a wrap for that project.